a bit. Then blushing, she plucks up her courage, and bravely she shows him the place, and he gives it a proper inspection, with a heap of surprise on his face. Then he says, with the accent of Scotland, "What you have is a boil, I can feel, but you better consult the old head doctor. They call him Professor O'Neill. He's special for boils and carbuncles. You'll find him in room 63. No charge, ma'am. It's been a real pleasure. Just tell him you're coming from me." So Missy, she thanks him politely, and hunts up and down as before, till she comes to the big handsome room with Professor O'Neill on the door. Then once more she plucks up her courage and knocks on the voice says, "All right." So she enters and sees a fat feller with whiskers all togged up in white. "I've got a big boil," says me missus, "and if you will kindly permit, I'd like for to have you inspected. It hurts me like all when I sit." So blushing as red as a beetroot, she hastens to show him the spot, and he says with a look of amazement, "Sure, ma'am, it must hurt you a lot." Then he puts on his specs to regard it, and finally says with a frown, "I'll bet it's as sore as a devil, especially when you sit down. I think it's a case for the surgeon. You better consult Dr. Hoyle. I've no hesitation in saying your boil is a hell of a boil." So Mrs. she thanks him for saying your boil is a hell of a boil, and she hunts all around till she comes on a door that's marked Dr. Hoyle. But by now she's a fair got the wind up and trembles in every limb. But she thinks, after all, he's a doctor and mustn't be bashful with him. She's made a good stuff, is the missus. So she knocks and a voice says, "Who's there?" "It's me," says my Bessie, and enters a room which is spacious and bare. And a wise-looking old feller greets her, and he's too togged up in white. "It's the room where they cut you, says Bessie, thinks Bessie, and shakes like a jelly with fright. "Ah, I got a big boil," begins Mrs. "And if you are sure you don't mind, I'd like you to see it a moment. It hurts me because it's behind." So thinking she'd best get it over, she hastens to show him the place, and he stares a kind of surprised-like and gets very red in the face. But he looks at it most conscientious, from every angle of view, then says with a shrug of his shoulders, "Poor lady, I'm sorry for you. It wants to be cut, but you should have a medical bloke do that. So why don't you go to the hospital, where all the doctors is at? You see, ma'am, this part of the building is closed on account of repairs. Us fellas is only the painters, painting the halls and the stairs."